And we are live here. It's Thursday night. So you know what that means, RJ. We're,
Yeah, thank goodness there's no Thursday night football on.
yeah, we won't have to worry about that for a few more months. Turn down the monitor here so we don't get no echo in the background, if you will. So it's been a hell of a week in the United States this week. We have a new president.
Wish we had a new commissioner in the NFL, but we're not going to get that happening,
Should we be
are
able
we?
to vote on the NFL commissioner? Do you think we should petition the government to make that a votable thing? We go every fall and we vote for a new commissioner.
It can't be every fall. I mean, like, as much as I hate Roger Goodell's guts, it can't change it every time you don't like what he does. It doesn't mean I won't vouch for it, though. Let me be perfectly clear.
But isn't there a point you got a line you draw and say you've made so many mistakes that
The thing with
it's time
Goodell
for a
is that
change?
the owners love him because he will take any slander the fans throw at him. And a lot of the times, as much as it may be hyperbolic, it's based in some truth.
Okay, all right.
So that's me on Goodell. I have a lot more thoughts on Goodell, but like, let's put it this way: if I said all of them, Facebook would demonetize us. YouTube would probably strike us off the platform. It's not pleasant things.
Well, let's see what happens about this. RJ,
Yes,
we have this, listeners, watchers, we have this group. We talk amongst ourselves, everyone here at AFNN.
and not just in our heads, as some of you may think.
Well, I do a lot of talking in my own head because I mean I'm so entertaining, and who else better to have a conversation with? My only problem is I get afraid sometimes because I start answering myself into it just scares me.
Please donate to his GoFundMe to cure his many illnesses. It's
Well,
very
hey,
severe.
I'm not. Look. I pull up a WWE website today. I want to check out what's going to go on at the Royal Rumble next week, right? Because I do the pro wrestling talk show too.
Yeah.
So I pull it up, and at the top of the page, it has this adult psychiatric test, and I'm like, "Ooh, I already know I'm crazy. So why do I need to take
Oh,
a test? And what happens if you take this test and score a perfect score? What's that mean?
oh God.
Is this a test you want to score high or low on? I mean, is the lower score the better? It's a test. Come on now. Don't
I
know.
don't know. But we've been testing the patience of our listeners long enough. Let's get into the football.
Oh, well, what I was going to say is RJ has a particular. I'm going to let RJ just go on for as long as he needs to because he's got something he has to vent about. You see,
Uh,
Hall
all
of Fame.
right. So, Philip Rivers has retired. He has more seasons than kids, which for most people isn't impressive. But when you think about Rivers, it's saying a lot. So that's one thing to start with. Now, everybody and their mother has been talking about, is Philip Rivers a Hall of Famer? I'm going to end that very quickly for you all with a big, fat no. He doesn't belong close to Canton. Here's the thing. This is the Hall of Fame, not the Hall of pretty decent for the majority of his long career with padded stats. That's not what we're looking for here, guys. So for that with Rivers, it's like Rivers is on a level like Tony Romo, Joe Flacco. Like those guys were really good quarterbacks for a sustained period of time, but they don't belong in Canton. Canton is where the legends go. You really think Philip Rivers is a legend? He's not even the best. He's not even the second best quarterback in his own draft class. And you're going to advocate for him to go to Canton? What did he do in the playoffs? He went 5-7. I'll give him a bit of an excuse for when he played on the blown ACL in 05. That was impressive, but like, what did he do after that? Nothing. Sorry, if you have Marty Schottenheimer as your coach, Lorenzo Neal at fullback, LaDainian Tomlinson at halfback, Antonio Gates at tight end, this great team around you, Junior Seau on defense, Nate Kading at kicker, and you still can't win? I'm sorry, you don't belong in Canton. Also, if you think of NFL quarterbacks, there are like multiple tiers. You have your top third, your middle third, and your bottom third. he was always at the bottom of the top or the top of the middle. I never went into a game saying, oh boy, I am scared of Philip Rivers. When the Steelers were playing the Colts this year, mind you, the Steelers were self-destructing for a lot of the end of the year. We were playing horribly. And really, like this I can say now that the playoffs are over, we played like complete crap. And I remember we're playing the Colts. And I'm like, you know what? Despite this being the biggest deficit we have to come back from all year, I feel calm because Philip Rivers is at quarterback. Because I know he'll throw us an interception at the perfect time because that's just what Philip Rivers does. And other people are saying, well, what about this guy and that guy that are in? Someone said Joe Namath. Here's the thing. One, Broadway Joan, played at a different era. That's the other thing about Rivers. People will say the stats, the stats, the stats, the stats. Guys, the stats are like inflation with money, all right? So, see, the NFL, over time, if you haven't picked up by the stupid rule changes every year, is becoming more pass-oriented. That means they're changing rules to make it easier for the quarterbacks to pass. So guess what? Of course the numbers are going to go up for touchdowns and yards. That's how the game is. It's also why you've seen a decrease in the running back's importance. So to say, well, look at Philip Rivers' yards, of course he will. Listen, you're going to have names on top 10 lists for yards who probably, who deserve to be there, but you won't think, oh, geez, yeah, I can't wait to see that guy's busting Canton in 10 years. Philip Rivers is also such a whiner. Every time something didn't go his way, he would yell at the referees. I know it doesn't have to do anything with Canton, but I'm sorry. He and Tom Brady for the longest time were having the competition for who's the biggest wuss in the league and who can yell at the refs the most. Tom Brady didn't win because he had them on payroll. That's the one competition he wanted to lose. Mm-hmm. So Rivers in no way, shape, or form should be near Canton. I would put Eli in before Rivers. There are so many better players who deserve to be in Canton. I'm sorry. Kenny Anderson still isn't in the Hall of Fame. But y'all want to tout Philip Rivers? I bet half you talking about Rivers don't even know who the hell Kenny Anderson is.
Okay.
Enough with it. Enough with it. Ugh. Makes me sick.
Michael Washington in our group stated the following. He says, well, I hate to be the one, and he's talking directly to RJ. He says, I hate to be the one to break it to you, but Rivers is in. Maybe not first ballot, probably because everyone liked him, but he'll be in. His stats are not to be argued against.
Well, that I kind of just did, so that's the response.
Well, and I've said this multiple times when it comes to football. There was a time when it was a 12 game season.
Yep.
So there are more games now for these players to acquire stats.
More playoff spots to get those extensions.
Super wild card, baby. Super wild card. But the thing is those things have to be taken into consideration when you're talking about men and hopefully in the future women, because we have a referee, the first female referee in the NFL
in Super Bowl history.
Will be at the Super Bowl this year, and that is a history-setting precedent. But you have to look at the length of seasons. People talk about
2,000-yard seasons.
I say one of the greatest players of all time was Jim Brown. Maybe the greatest player of all time. And yes, I'm kind of prejudiced because I'm a Browns fan. However,
just a wee bit.
He set his records in shorter seasons.
That you cannot deny.
And when you give somebody, I believe he played during the 12-game seasons, I believe. Okay?
Yeah.
So when you give somebody 4 extra games to acquire more yardage, how can you say that they are equivalent to somebody who did more? And he still has records that have not been broken. Okay, there are still records that Jim Brown holds that have not been broken in all these years. Okay, and we're looking back 50 years.
I feel like Brown a lot of times gets more respect in the lacrosse community than he does the NFL, which is outrageous.
Yep, and there's a lot of, you got Terry Bradshaw out there, arguably, possibly, and I'm going to be honest with you, to me, probably the greatest quarterback ever. He did what he did in a 14 Did he play in the 70s? That would have been a 14 game seasons.
Yeah.
14 game seasons was when Bradshaw did what he did. You're going to tell me that what he achieved with less games is not better than what a guy who has 16 opportunities a year to go out there and rack up
Also,
yardage.
I'm going to say the game was a lot more brutal at that time. So
Oh,
longevity
yeah.
actually
Ask
was
Joe
worth a
Theismann.
damn.
Ask Joe Theismann how brutal the game was. Ask him.
Yeah, his leg is one shorter on one leg because of that hit from Lawrence Taylor.
Yeah. And if you didn't see that hit live, well, if you weren't born back in the 70s, 60s, late 60s, 70s, 80s, 50s, whatever, if you weren't born and alive during that era, you will not know how brutal the game of football can be. He took a hit. The bone came through his flesh. It was gruesome. It made Sid Vicious's break look like nothing. It was horrible.
Okay, personally, and this is just me, like I've seen both clips multiple times. I think Sid's is a little worse because of the way Sid reacts to it. Joe was just lying there, and you see Lawrence Taylor gesturing over. Reminder, this is Lawrence Taylor,
Yeah.
one of the toughest SOBs to ever put on some pads and helmets. He probably would have left them off if he was allowed to. So when he's urgently gesturing for a rival to get help in that era of football, you knew something was very, 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 very wrong. We wouldn't see a leg injury that gruesome until Alex Smith had it.
Throw up the X. Throw up the X. See, and I will always say that football has been pussyfied.
I wouldn't say that.
It is. How many prima donnas are out on that field? How many times do we see somebody stub a toe and go, and they're out of the game for the rest of the day? And I understand injuries and all this stuff, but damn it, you're supposed to be tough-ass men. You're supposed to be tougher than me. Okay? I played football until during a game as a 20-something-year-old. We're going down. I'm going down the field, and I hit a pipe in a field and tore a piece of bone out of my shin. Okay? I got up and walked it off. Okay, I was bleeding. I ended up in the hospital. I have a scar to this day on my shin, and I have a dent in it where that piece of bone got ripped out by that pipe that I ran over. Okay, that is what football players should do. You don't limp off to the sideline unless you're really hurt.
But here's the thing, and here's what I'm going to say. First of all, what was not known back then was the severe effects of CTE. We've seen a lot of really sad cases in that front. Secondly, players are becoming more, with the advent of social media, they have the chance to make themselves a brand, which you really didn't back in the day unless you were in the New York or LA markets. So that's why Joe Namath got so big. And even then, you're limited. You know,
well, yeah,
so
that's because
their
back
body
in
is
the
a
day,
paycheck.
the team was the brand, not the player.
But here's the thing, you know, I understand it's a team sport, but also, and we have to remember this sometimes, and like you know, this is the majority of the money that most of these men will make for their entire lives. So for a safer game, which will allow more points, which is what the NFL wants, that will completely lengthen the careers of its star players and allow those players to make themselves into brands. Do the fans like it? Probably not. But do the NFL and the NFLPA like it? Yeah, they do. Who has final say? Them, not us.
Well, yeah, because they're getting a cut of the proceeds.
Well, of course they are.
32 Vince McMahons. Think about it.
I don't want that much insanity on Earth.
Well, we've already have it. It's been here for a minute now. But anyhow, Phillip Rivers going into the Hall of Fame. My opinion is that no one man should be inducted in the Hall of Fame on the first ballot unless their credentials precede them. There are a few men. I am going to concede that when Ben Roethlisberger does hang up the cleats, he deserves to go into the Hall of Fame. He is one of the most successful quarterbacks in the history of the game. He has more Super Bowls under his belt than of this era. I think Tom Brady's the only one that can compare with him as far as the number of Super Bowls under his belt.
Eli ties him, actually.
Okay. Well, I mean, in this era, in his generation, I'm putting Roethlisberger and Brady in that same generation of.
Yeah, Eli was the same year as Roethlisberger.
Okay, so we have that. We also have And RJ, I know you're probably going to go off on this one. Drew Brees looks like he's about ready to retire.
Yeah, and like the fact that he never got an NFL MVP is borderline criminal.
Yeah.
Like here's like what he did. First of all, his story is amazing because little time travel. He was on the same team as Philip Rivers, the Chargers. He got a severe shoulder injury, got cut, and was the first to take on this new kind of shoulder surgery and has one of the most phenomenal careers. He wins us not only, let's look at his accolades on the field, but what he meant to the city of New Orleans off it in the wake of Katrina. The team had even played in Mercedes-Benz for a year. They had played games at the Alamo, Tiger Stadium, a game at Giant Stadium. People were homeless. People, lost jobs. People lost everything. And the one unifier was the New Orleans Saints. And say all you will about the team, but Drew Brees leading a team to be so good so closely after that natural disaster ravished that city goes beyond football. And that's the kind of thing that you can't really measure. And I understand it's not a factor that most people think when you go into Hall of Fame, and it's not a football factor. But to add on top of everything, this is in addition to everything's done as a player, because like Harry, name me 5 receivers he's had throughout his career. Go.
Drew Brees?
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah.
I can't. There's never been a consistency there. Where
There
you have
really hasn't. Like the biggest name, I guess, was Joe Horn in the mid 2000s.
Yeah, he's never
like,
had a consistent partner on the field. It's just been him, and he's had multiple. I'm sorry that I'm putting it this way, listeners and viewers, but he's had multiple partners. Never one true, consistent person that you can remember was there time after time after time after time, where they became every great football team has a dynamic duo. They have a quarterback and a receiver that are stellar. These two, that they have something worked out. That these are the two guys that in a clutch, when it's 2 minutes to go, you're down by a touchdown. You know what receiver's coming out on that field. You know who's going to be out there. Brees has never had that opportunity in his career down in New Orleans.
Not really. He really hasn't. Like, I'm just going to ask you another question. Can you name 5 players that have, besides Brees, that played during his tenure in New Orleans for the Saints?
Not for the longevity. Team. Not with longevity at all. None.
Not longevity. Just 5 in general. I don't get longevity. Just during his time with the Saints. Do you know 5 at all?
No.
I rest my case.
He was the team. It was Brees. That's why I watched New Orleans, was to see Brees play. It was the quarterback game.
And listen, his send-off is one of the most disappointing, arguably the most disappointing since Dan Marino's. But you gotta remember, Brees had, a punctured lung, 6 broken ribs earlier in the year. It was playing through some of that stuff. I almost went into a coma just thinking about that.
So what you're saying is Drew Brees is a true football player. He's tough. He's tough. There are quarterbacks out there that we see take a hit and you think they're dead. But then you got quarterbacks. Somebody sacks Ben Roethlisberger and hits him hard. He's going to pop back up on that field and go right back out.
The best Roethlisberger shows toughness game was against the Ravens. Haloti Ngata comes in, karate chops his nose, and bends in a way a nose that is not supposed to move. It looks like a curve, maybe a cursive C. And then just trots right back onto the field.
And continues to play the game. And see, that's one of the things that's why I say they pussify the game. Because you've taken out, and yeah, I can understand the helmet-to-helmet contact. I can understand a lot of different rules and regulations being put in play to protect players. But this is a tough sport. This is not a game for prima donnas. And a lot of times, and we've seen it.
That's a different topic. Prima donnas. Oh boy, prima donnas.
I mean, how many times have you seen a player come out and be upset because they got tackled by somebody and they felt that it should have been a penalty, it should have been this, it should have been that, when in actuality it was fair play. but they're upset because it made them look bad. It's not about being a great player, it's about your image on the field. How many guys have to get out there? We have a division, the AFC North, and I will say this about this division. These are not, it's not about one individual player on these teams. It's about teams together. Baltimore is Baltimore, and they are Baltimore. It's the team thing. Roethlisberger may be the heart and soul of the Pittsburgh Steelers, but it's that defensive line on the Steelers has to be looked out for. They've got weapons left and right in their offense. The Browns are the same way. You have to pay attention to the team when you play them. You can't just pick on one or two players. Yeah,
There's depth for those teams.
and that's that whole division. Even the lowly Cincinnati Bengals, who will always be the last point of conversation when you talk about AFC North, unless they're doing good, which they're not. So,
I mean, here's the thing. If the Bengals here's the thing. If they find a way to protect Joe Burrow, which they didn't this year and may have severely changed the trajectory of his career, we don't know how the injury is going to go. Hopefully he comes back strong. But, like, as a Steelers fan and just a football fan in general, if they give him the right weapons, get in the nuclear bunker.
speaking of the Steelers, RJ, you have a major issue with a particular person in that franchise, and I want you to let them know. This is coming from a Steelers fan, folks. Go ahead, Mr. Tomlinson.
All right. Yeah, first of all, been indoctrinated in Steelers Nation since age 5. Probably watched the Steelers History DVD they released the year before.
That's called brainwashing, by the way, not indoctrination.
Shush.
Well, it's the same thing. It's a cult. It's a cult.
Probably 25 times over, so it's like 100 hours there.
Yeah.
I've watched enough Steelers stuff to recount the history of the team for you, which I could probably do on a different show if you ever want to. But I hate Mike Tomlin's just reputation and just as a coach. Here's the thing. First of all, there are two accolades people will shower him with. One, he's never had a losing season. You know, you're not wrong in that. And he's the only coach to start X amount of seasons without a losing season. But did you ever notice the wording non-losing seasons? That's because he went 8-8 twice, you morons. 8-8 isn't something to brag about. Second, the Super Bowl he won. That is not a Mike Tomlin team. That is not a Mike Tomlin culture. That is Bill Cowher's team. Cowher retired 2 years previous. So you had a lot of the coaches, a lot of the culture, a lot of the players that were left over from Cowher, who, by the way, won a Super Bowl as soon as he got a good quarterback. I'm sorry, if you consider Neil O'Donnell or Cordell Stewart a good quarterback, please seek an evaluation. So Tomlin gets to one Super Bowl in 2010 with still some remnants of of Bill's team, but and we lose the game. It's like, okay, you know what? We're gonna get back, Tomlin. What are you doing? He has no discipline. I mean, how do you let Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell run all over you constantly? To not make a Super Bowl with Bell, Brown, and Ben, who at the time were all top three players at their positions in the league. To let such stacked rosters year after year, the generational talents like Troy Polamalu, Hines Ward, not get more winning, it's just absurd to me. I'm going to say that he's the worst coach in team history.
Damn.
Now, before people say, well, haven't they only had 3 coaches? Yeah, going back to 1969. But before then, the Steelers / Pirates / Carpets / Steagles, we went by all those names. We were the laughing stock of the NFL and had nothing to work with. We had a few players sprinkled in there like Bill Dudley, Ernie Stotner, aging John Henry Johnson. That was about it for the longest time. Hungover an old Bobby Lane. Like, that was it. So if you give like Buddy Parker, who I doubt any of you guys remember, but just roll with me here, like the teams Tomlin had, he probably would have done more. He would have done more because Tomlin has no discipline. He's a player's coach, which is a good thing to a fault. Another great player's coach to a fault was Jack Pardee of the Washington football team in the 70s.
They would have been the Redskins back then, wouldn't they?
What?
They would have been the Redskins back then, not the Washington.
Yes. I
mean, look, I'm not going to sugarcoat history for anybody's feelings. I don't give a damn. They were the Washington Redskins. If you're offended by that, you're not going to change the history, okay?
Anyway, moving on from that. So, Pardee, well, a player's coach was too much so, and people ran all over him. His lasting legacy, he did a good thing. He made Joe Theismann the starting quarterback. But he wasn't there a long time because the team knew not to tolerate failure. Pittsburgh, on the other hand, the Roonies, we don't fire people. Nah, we let them retire. I mean, you want to know how bad the Steelers have been? Look up in YouTube, Days of Our Steelers, full season. This YouTuber, who I'm a huge fan of, named Urinating Tree, yes, that's his YouTuber name for some reason, had a whole series. He would do weekly recaps. But every week, he would have, for a couple years, he would have a segment dedicated just to the freaking drama surrounding the Pittsburgh Steelers. And he's a Steelers fan. It was like Days of Our Lives, but football. And it is iconic. And like, as a Steelers fan, it was the best and worst thing to watch. Because if you lost the game, you knew what's coming on Days of Our Steelers. Because we were that mental. That's how much of a nutcase we are. And now we're bringing in Dwayne Haskins. Sure, he's going to walk all over Mike Tomlin. Listen, Haskins, let's see, no effort. So there's a Jamarcus Russell move. Strip clubs. I mean, here's the thing. Listen, you do what you want with your time and money when it doesn't affect the team and or someone else's health, which he kind of affected both because we're still in a pandemic, despite what you may want to think, Dwayne. You know, Pittsburgh picked him up for 1 year, and I understand it's a low risk, high reward. And normally, if there was any other coach, any other, like franchise, I'd be like, this is a great move. But with Pittsburgh, I'm worried he's going to walk all over guys, like walk all over management. He's not going to walk all over other players. That's not going to happen. But management doesn't know when to step in a lot of the time. Like, I love the Roonies as owners from like a fan standpoint. But there has to be a time when you realize, okay, yeah, you've run your course. Here's the next guy. People have been talking about, the question for the longest time about Tomlin's, who's your improvement? I got an idea. Call up Eric Bieniemy and say, hey, let's bring you in. Also, the NFL would love that because they haven't hired any minorities in coaching positions this year. And that's a whole different conversation for another time. I'm just saying, wouldn't be bad press, and the NFL needs all good press it can get. So
that goes without saying.
I mean, yeah. So in conclusion, Mike Tomlin, he hit his ceiling early and then never really did anything since. Like, he lost, here's some of the quarterbacks he's lost playoff games to. He lost playoff games to Blake Bortles.
Who?
Blake Bortles.
Who?
Blake Mother Bortles.
Who?
He was the Jaguars quarterback back when they were telling themselves as Saxonville and all that BS.
So not important to the history of the game at all.
Other than the fact that they beat the Steelers and put up 42 points. No. They're probably one of the worst teams to ever get to an AFC Championship game, but really they're like doormats for them. He lost to Tim Tebow. That was Tim Tebow's only playoff win. You lost to Tebow? Listen, Tebow Mania was fun. Everybody enjoyed it, but no one saw Tebow and thought, well, at least besides John Elway, because he has a thing for tall white quarterbacks who can run. No one else thought.
Kind of suggestive in some certain way, but we'll glaze over that one.
Yeah, and besides John Elway, no one else was like, oh boy, this no one with like more than 20 brain cells seriously thought Tim Tebow's going to change the NFL. We lost to Tebow. We beat the Bengals every year in the wild card round, but that was mostly because they self-destructed because they are the Bungles. I mean, like in the playoff game where Antonio Brown got sheep-shelled by Vontaze Burfict, and then Joey Porter trolled the crap out of Pac-Man Jones, which is still an iconic moment. I wasn't worried. Despite us having Landry Jones in there, and because I remember, and then they said Ben full of steroids enough to kill an elephant out there. And I knew Marvin Lewis has no control over his team. Vontaze is going to do something stupid. Oh, there's Vontaze being stupid. Oh, Joey Porter just goaded Pac-Man into a stupid penalty. oh, there's the game-winning field goal. I was never worried about that game because I knew the Bengals are the Bungles.
Okay.
So we haven't beaten a lot of credible playoff teams. Another quarterback we've beaten, are way too proud of beating, is Mark Sanchez, Mr. Butt Fumble. Mr. Rex Ryan still has a tattoo of his jersey on his arm, which is because the jersey of the because he has a tattoo where it's his wife wearing Mark Sanchez jersey because he was that confident and so stupid. We bragged beating Mark Sanchez. I'm sorry. You think Butt Fumble, you hear Mark Sanchez. Like, you don't think of, oh, yeah, Mark Sanchez, the guy went to 2 AFC championship games his first 2 years. No, you think Butt Fumble.
You've also got to think that with what happened this year in the playoffs, that the Roonies are sitting back and going, dude, of all the teams that you allow to that beat you in the playoffs, that is not the team.
Well, it's not that they just beat you in the playoffs. Here's the thing. I don't know. And I'm a full historian. I've looked through countless seasons. I can't remember the last time the team lost a regular season and then directly after a postseason game to the same team. We were closer to winning with the backups in. And you know why? Because Keith Butler was calling plays on defense. During the Steelers lost to the Browns in the playoffs, Tomlin was calling them. Tomlin, you don't understand how to call timeouts or challenge plays correctly or clock minute. That's enough of an issue for you. But now you want to try to do defense? Mike, please. I'm better at calling timeouts. Because here's the thing. Like, I'm not great at calling timeouts. I just know don't let 20 seconds off the play clock and then call a timeout when there's 40 seconds left in the darn half.
Exactly. You wasted 20 seconds of time. Let's move on from there because we still have 2 more playoff games left.
That is correct.
We get to February.
Yep.
And RJ and I are we're gonna go down this here. We've got Tampa Bay with Tom Brady, who's got a chip on his shoulder, something to prove, I guess. You know, he's still. Hey, you got to give it to him, man. He's still in the playoffs, and the Patriots aren't.
Here's what I'll say about Tom Brady. I said this earlier this year. When did he start getting good? After he got a third #1 receiver in Antonio Brown. You're telling me you couldn't be good with Chris Godwin and Mike Evans? The fact that Brady needs a third #1 receiver is very concerning. He still has Gronk, who's like old Gronk, but still Gronk.
Yeah, but Gronkowski has also been doing things outside of the world of football in the last few years, mainly. He's
Wrestling.
been working with WWE, doing his, and you know, it's a logical step because you know he's working toward his retirement, and how can he parlay his fame on the field into something that's going to profit him and still be athletic, not be sitting back and doing commentating and stuff. Something that's still involved.
Listen, I don't see Gronk as the entrepreneurial type. I definitely don't see him as a commentating type.
No, but I think his name alone in a setting like the world of professional wrestling,
he's perfect for
it's moneymaker. It's moneymaker. He's a moneymaker.
Yeah.
Because look,
but
I will not disrespect Gronk in any way. He is a damn tough man. He is a hell of a football player, has been for a decade or more. He's been great. So I'm not going to disrespect him. But we got Tampa Bay. We got the Battle of the Bays here. Tampa Bay and Green Bay. Cheeseheads versus the Pirate team here. Until the Buccaneers decide that that's appropriation and make them change their names to something else. But
my issue with Buccaneers isn't their name. It's the logo. It's lazy. A skull and crossbones on a flag. We're clever. Bring back Bucko Bruce with a knife in the mouth. It may look weird, but at least it's original.
Well, then they're going to say it's threatening or frightening or what have you.
How? Bucko Bruce has a smile and is the colors of a creamsicle.
Hey, Jeffrey Dahmer smiled a lot. You know, hey. Anyhow, we've got Tampa Bay and Green Bay, and this, for one, I am going to be honest with you. I am rooting for Green Bay in this game. I am so sorry, but I at least want to see a team, one of my Great Lakes teams, succeed. And we've got, okay, I'm going to give you the Great Lakes teams would be Michigan, Detroit, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, even though They're not on the Great Lakes. That state is bordered.
Pennsylvania, so
Yeah, it's bordered by any state bordered by the Great Lakes. These are states with passion for football. Indianapolis, which is landlocked, but I still consider it part of that area of the country. Okay, and then we have probably a game that's going to prove once and for all that. What's the Kansas City's team name now? Are they still the Chiefs, or
they're
do they
still
have
the
to change
Chiefs.
it? Are they going to change the name to something other so they're not offending people?
There has not been a call for their name change yet. Also, I think the thing that's been helping them out is that their logo is like nothing close to being offensive as well.
Kansas City's?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. But they're going to face off what I think is the best team in the NFL this season in Buffalo. The Bills have been playing football. They have been doing things out there that I'm impressed by. It's things I haven't seen in a while. And I'm going to be honest, I haven't got to see a lot of football this year because of a lot of different situations in life. But I have been watching highlight reels and things like that, and I am I'm impressed. And if this game, if Buffalo doesn't walk out of this game to go to the Super Bowl, I will be thoroughly shocked.
See, here's what I'm going to say, and this is like I like Josh Allen a lot as a quarterback. My main issue with him is if he gets flustered for any reason, it sticks with him, and he can't get rid of the pressure. He can't clear his mind. He said so, like he has trouble sometimes doing that himself. So if Buffalo is tied or in the lead for the majority of the game, Buffalo is going to the Super Bowl. If Kansas City comes out and puts Buffalo in an early hole, it's going to be very hard for the Bills to come back.
We will find out this week.
Yep, and then for the NFC, I'm going to say Green Bay, not only because Aaron Rodgers is the better quarterback, he's just done, he's definitely better now. You can argue with him better all the time, but he's definitely better now, like in the MVP talk, with not a ton around him. So they took Jordan Love to be his successor, I guess. It's also welcome to the cold, Tampa Bay. You're going to love that. I mean, yeah, they said, that doesn't mean everything like some people think it does, but it's not
Verizon
helping them at
5G
all.
is here with the coverage of 5G nationwide.
Thank you, NFL.com, for that commercial.
The NFL controlling your life, even your shows.
Yeah.
Let's get copyright strikes for that too.
Well, we weren't on there long enough. This is
also one more thing.
Mm-hmm.
No team has made the Super Bowl and hosted it in the same year. Where's the game being played? Raymond James Stadium. No way the Buccaneers do it.
Hey, it's the home of WrestleMania. Look at that. Here, the two big events coming to Tampa this year, and here's the sad part, though. The amount of fans. It's not going to have that Super Bowl feel to it, where that stadium is packed, because they're not going to be selling every damn seat in that venue. 80,000 seats? They're not going to pack that venue.
It's not 80,000. No, there's no way Raymond James is 80,000.
Well, let me.
It's probably like 73. Like the biggest is like 80,000, which is 80,000 is MetLife, which is the biggest somehow.
Oh, let's see. We just almighty Google. The almighty Google. 65,000. Wait a minute. As of, 65,618, which is expandable to 75,000. I guess that's if you have an event for the field where they have like a concert.
Yeah, like WrestleMania or Coldplay.
Bon Jovi decides to do a whirlwind world tour. Elton John, Pink Floyd, an artist like that performs at these type of venues because you just need that many seats. I don't know, RJ, because let me look up NFL. Let me do the almighty wiki, NFL stadiums.
All right. What rabbit hole are we going down?
Well, we're not going to go down a rabbit hole. I just want to see.
That's what he says now.
Okay. Let's see. Arrowhead Stadium, 76,000. AT&T is 80,000. 82,000 at
Yeah, that
FedEx.
makes sense for Jerry World.
FedEx Field in Landover, 82.
Oh, MetLife's the biggest with 90, I think.
81 Lambeau. Wow. Nice. 81 at Lambeau. We're going to go to 82.5 at MetLife in East Rutherford.
82.5? Yeah, okay, that's the biggest, yeah.
That's-
I know it's the biggest in the league right now.
Yeah, and then we have, I'm trying to find one that's, yeah, I mean, these are huge venues. We know that they're going to probably sell a quarter of the seats in any of them because, with distancing and all that good stuff. So.
Yeah, safety. It's important.
It is very, very important. And then, of course, we go up to the city of Cleveland. We have First Energy Stadium. God, take the name off that stadium. Please remove that name from our stadium. Thank you. That comes from a scandal that's been going on in my state for a while where First Energy received $1.3 billion from the state of Ohio to fix their ailing nuclear power plants, which they didn't bother to take care of for 20 years. They want the taxpayers to pay to help update these nuclear power plants. But then,
would that explain the toxicity of the team for almost the past 20 years?
Huh? No,
that explain why...
No, that's from the Cuyahoga River. It's been like that for decades. So we got the only river that was ever settled. The Cuyahoga River.
I know, it caught fire.
It was bad. It was bad. There was a day when you didn't eat fish out of the river. No, you couldn't do it. It was just too polluted.
I just don't go fishing in general.
But what this company ended up, the company with a name on the stadium, these SOBs paid $61 million to the head of our state legislature here, the big guy in our state as far as the legislature went, to get this stuff passed. Bribery scandal, huge bribery scandal. It goes all the way to the top. I'm telling you what, I bet you our governor's been involved in this. But with the pandemic, this has been kind of overlooked. It's one of these stories that I keep paying attention to. But and we'll talk about that at some other point. I hate having names like FedEx Field. Why aren't these stadiums named after legends in the business? We have Heinz.
Because money talks.
But so should paying respect to legends. And that's one of the problems in the NFL. Anyway, RJ, we've got Tampa Bay and Green Bay. So the Cheeseheads are going to be out in force this year.
Yep. Okay, what's the over-under for shirtless guys with beer bellies shown on camera? Because we know they do it at least once. I'm going to say 4. You're taking the over or the under?
I'm going to tell you, it's going to be a lot more than that. We're talking Green Bay, and I've seen games being played there in blizzard conditions, and half the stadium's half naked and almost famous. Sorry about that, MGK.
I don't know how, someone died of hypothermia there during the Ice Bowl.
Yeah, but you know what? They probably went to their death a happy man. It's like
I don't know if they got to see the end of the game, though.
Like I said, if Cleveland were to ever win a Super Bowl, everyone over the age of probably 25 that is a Browns fan will die of a massive coronary that night, and life will be complete. Life will have been my existence in this world is
you figure the path to immortality, my friend.
Pardon me?
You figure out immortality.
Well, maybe. Yeah. Anyway, Tampa Bay, go Green Bay. Go. Who's gonna win?
Green Bay.
Green Bay. Same here. Buffalo, KC.
My head says Kansas City, but my gut's going Buffalo. Let's go Buffalo.
Oh, Buffalo.
Let's go into a Super Bowl.
Now that we've done that, let's talk about some of the crappy stuff that the NFL does. And in my mind, this is horrible. This is absolutely a deplorable thing that's going on right now in the world of football.
What do we expect from them?
We have a logo situation going on here where a league owned by 32 billionaires is
31.
Okay, 31 in the city of Green Bay. All right. So And who's got more to lose if they don't go to the Super Bowl? Green Bay. But they have a team they can be proud of. That's a good thing, though. But we have the Tennessee Titans are disputing a trademark claim. And by the way, this trademark has already been issued by the federal government. Already done deal. They own the trademark to this logo. Yeah, the XFL owns the trademark to the Roughnecks logo.
They're saying that the oil drill is too similar to the old Houston Oilers logo. Here's the thing, all right? If the Oilers were an active team using that as their primary logo, I could understand what the NFL is saying there and have a legitimate complaint. But the Oilers haven't played under that name since 1997 or 98. They don't even let them wear the throwback uniforms that they would have them for anymore because of the one helmet rule. The only thing it's for is merchandising. Shout out to all my Spaceballs fans. That's all it's for. Like NFL, you had time when Vince was running the league to say, no, you can't do that. Before they ordered the custom turf to put down in Houston, before they made all the merchandise. And now you want to come for them?
Now,
really?
Do you think this is because that they now realize that when the XFL relaunches, there's going to be huge buzz about it? That they are going.
Oh, I think the NFL looked down upon it at first, thinking it's going to be 2001 again.
Yeah.
You know?
They thumb their nose at them. You ain't going to do nothing. And then all of a sudden.
Players start coming in, they're like, ooh. Like, I don't think the scouts were that way. I think it was really like the higher brass of the league, not individual teams. Teams saw potential in it.
So you think this is coming from higher ups within the league?
I think so. It's probably higher up in the league, in my opinion.
Do you think they're gonna? This is a way for because I'm gonna be honest with you, the assets that were bought by Redbird and Johnson,
and Garcia.
Well, yeah, those players, those key players in this organization. Those assets were bought before. So if you got a grudge, it's against McMahon, not against this new group, because you don't even know. You have no idea
that if they're going to rebrand the team or what.
Exactly.
Which would be stupid, by the way.
Yeah, because that was one of the best logos, and to be honest with you, it is something. My first thing is how about asking the people of Houston what they think? Because to be honest with you, that logo doesn't belong to the Tennessee Oilers because they're not the Oilers anymore.
They played 1 year as Tennessee Oilers, and they were in Memphis, and the fans were not buying it because they knew they were a temporary home.
But I would say that that logo belongs to the city of Houston, Texas, because it represented their city for so many years. And I think that's where it really should be put at is, what do the people of Houston feel about this? Is this something that they're willing to say, hey, you know what? That logo represents Houston, Texas, because that means something to those people.
Right. And I do want to clarify something. The Oilers are not defunct. I think we'd be looking at a very different case if they were defunct, and probably you could argue logos should be in public domain. But because they only rebranded and continued as the same franchise, they're not defunct.
To me, it's frivolous. It's stupid.
It is. Have you met the NFL?
Have I?
Have you looked at the NFL for more than 5 seconds?
No.
Of course it's frivolous and stupid.
I wouldn't want to meet anyone that has to do with the NFL. After they let Modell walk out of Cleveland, I lost all respect for any one of the owners in this thing. I'll give the Rooney family credit. At least they have enough stamina and ball. They were pissed when Modell left town. The Steelers were upset about that because they took from the Steelers their rival. And believe me, that rivalry, I don't care what anyone says, Steelers-Cleveland rivalry, this is the only rivalry where a team was penalized because of its fans doing something. The battery incident where we got the 15-yard penalty before the game even started.
Oh, well, okay. I didn't know about that one. I know when you guys threw the beer balls at the refs against Jacksonville.
Well, that's why we have aluminum. That's why they got aluminum bottles now instead of glass.
Plastic
bottles, I think. But dog bones being thrown at the How many times have you seen players, Steelers, get pelted with dog bones from the dog pound? I mean, this is how
My favorite thing that
intense
people will
this
do,
is.
and they know it's going to happen, is someone will do their own version of the Lambo Whip and they'll get doused in beer. Like, you know it's going to happen, especially in the dog pound. Like, you knew it was going to happen.
Oh yeah,
I
oh
find
yeah.
it hilarious, honestly. Like, if you want to do that, that's your choice. Just be aware you're getting a beer bath, which I imagine some people wouldn't mind. So, you know what? Hey, you do you.
I'd rather get a beer bath than a Gatorade bath. You know, think about it. Wouldn't you rather have like 5 gallons of beer poured over you rather than 5 gallons of Gatorade?
Depends on the day.
Because I don't
Depend-
I don't like lemon lime Gatorade to start with. I like the grape flavor.
What if it was grape Gatorade?
No, I still wouldn't. I want to drink it. I don't want it poured over me. I mean, the beer at least. Yeah, well, the only side effect.
Well, it
of
depends on the
beer is-
beer, also. Like, I'm sorry. Like,
Well, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't want something like
Bud Light or like.
Schlitz malt liquor.
I was
Colt
thinking
45.
Schlitz and like.
Colt-
Yeah.
No, Budweiser maybe. It'd probably be Bud Light, you know, because that's what they serve.
Yeah.
Why do they serve Bud Light at stadiums? Why not
Because it's cheap. Duh, the margin.
$15 for a 16-ounce cup of beer is cheap.
For them to manufacture, yeah, they can mark it up as much as they want.
$15 is not cheap. I used to go
I know
watch.
it's not $15 to produce though.
I
The
used to
margins
go
on
watch
the
Brown
margins.
games and get a beer for $3. Big one. Super.
And that brings
gu-
us back to
uh,
inflation, not only with stats, but with your stadium food prices as well.
Are you implying that I might be old? Is that what you're implying here?
Actually, that wasn't what I was going for there. I was just saying inflation is a thing, but you said it yourself,
Hey,
so I'm going to agree with you there.
Watch it. I
And
know.
then
I have
to
friends in
continue-
low places. Okay, just watch it.
Yeah. All right. Now, to make things even more frivolous from the NFL, the Roughneck secondary logo, which I imagine some of you are going to have to look up right now to know what the heck it looks like, that's being claimed by the New England Patriots.
Oh, goodness.
Because they claim their current flying Elvis head logo is too similar. First of all, no, it's not. Second of all, Pat the Patriot was better. I don't know why you got rid of him, you turds. And it's not similar. It's a guy in a hard hat's head versus, I don't even know what the Patriots logo is. It's just like a deformed gray face
Right.
with like a weird dragon tail. Like it looks like a patriotic jumbo shrimp of sorts.
Oh, goodness gracious.
That's what it looks like to me, which should be honestly perfect for the New England area. But yeah, now they're going after that as well. So they're really going at the Roughnecks. So I don't know if they have something against the city of Houston.
Maybe.
I mean, are they mad because of Deshaun Watson trying to leave? Is this a petty way to get back and try and keep Deshaun there?
Or
Is that what?
are they upset because the XFL Houston actually showed out? The people came out for the games. Could it
I
be there?
mean-
Do you think that maybe the NFL may be afraid of the XFL, and even more so now because you have at the for all intents and purposes the face of this league is probably he's the highest paid action star in the world, one of the highest. He's one of the richest men on the planet. Okay, he's also one of the most approachable stars in the history of stardom.
History.
Of stars.
Yeah.
Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is a guy that look, he never forgot that it was the people. And his moniker was he was the people's champ, right?
You know, like recently, like the man took him in when he was homeless. He just bought him a brand new truck a couple weeks back.
You have a man who comes from a family with a history of first of all, he is part Samoan. Okay, and he comes from a family that has had a history of being upstanding people, of good values. They have good values, and he's a man with good values. Here's a man. Have you seen The Rock's wife? Is she the woman you would think would be married to Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson?
He doesn't have a trophy wife, exactly.
And you know what? He never will. You know why? He married for love, not for looks. He married a woman he loved, and he stuck by her. He's not going to leave her because they have a solid foundation. Okay? And that's the point. Is you have a man with high morals, with great morals, who is now the face of a league. And you have
Something that the NFL can never say.
you have 31 men who their morals have been questionable for 20 or 30 years now.
Minimum.
Because to be honest with you, there are owners within the NFL that I could look at and say, you're no better than a plantation owner back in the day.
Oh, I won't go that far.
I would, because that's how they've treated players over the years. How many players have been disrespected by the owners of a team? Oh, I'm going to let you go because of this or because of that. When they should have been, you have guys out here that you're not going to get rid of.
Like Ben.
You treat players like they are cattle. And I'm not saying it's based on race. I'm saying it's based on this is how you think. You have that plantation mindset where you own these men. These are yours. You own them. You are a puppet master and you're pulling the strings. Okay? And we're not talking a Metallica song here. Okay? This is a problem. And now you have a competitor. And yes, I'm going to go on record and say that, yes, the XFL is a competitor because there are people out there who have not been interested in NFL for a long time.
There's a difference between being a competitor and drawing a different audience. The 2001 XFL wanted to be a competitor. It was not.
Well, but the XFL, if they continue in 2022 with what the foundation that was set forth in 2020, the dumpster fire every year that was, if they continue with that, one, they're going to have their season. Right now, are you anticipating already this 2022 season?
As soon as I heard that The Rock was buying the assets, first of all, I may or may not have made a highly embarrassing video of myself just reacting with pure joy and jubilation hearing the news, running around my backyard like an idiot. I was that excited. And of course, honestly, I like the XFL brand of gameplay better than the NFL. And it's doing what the NFL's been wanting to do for years, to be faster paced, be safer. The XFL's found a way to do that before the NFL did. They won't admit it, obviously.
And isn't there something about some of the mechanics of the game that was altered that the NFL's even looking into? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was the AAF. The 4th and 15 was AAF.
No. They were looking at some of the ways they were talking.
Or are they talking the kickoffs?
Yeah, the way the kickoffs were done. The NFL was discussing that, and perhaps down the road we'll see if they implement it. If you want to do anything, if you want to do something to change a logo in the XFL, let's get rid of the Wildcats logo.
Actually, no, I don't mind that as much as I mind the Vipers logo. That looks like it was made like in Microsoft Paint circa 1998.
Wow. Well, look at the conundrum they had with the Renegades logo and how it looks like the Bandits. It looks like this. It looks like this. It looks like this.
The logos moving forward, like I don't think they can really change anything this early on with teams, but for any potential expansion teams, a little more. Look, the leagues that put some of the best effort into logos are minor league sports teams and indoor and arena teams. The best logo in all sports right now, and you cannot convince me otherwise, is the Tucson Sugar Skulls of the indoor football league.
That is a badass logo, man.
Look at that thing for 5 seconds, and then come tell me that's not a good logo.
Yeah, it is.
If you do, you're a liar.
And I'll be honest with you. Of all the logos in the XFL, the Battlehawks logo is like the absolute best.
It's amazing.
It is just that is just like an awesome logo. And I happen to think that the Guardians logo, yes, I'm partial to the New York Guardians. I think that was my team, and it will be my team at relaunch too. I'm not going to waver on that. But that is a bad logo, dude. The Guardians logo. And I know people don't get it. It's supposed to be a gargoyle.
I get it. It's just, man, I feel like he could have done a lot more with the New York name in general to kind of back themselves into a corner.
And with the new team, we don't know what's going to happen with what's coming up here in 2022. We got a lot of stuff going on. This
I mean,
lawsuit,
Birmingham's new stadium will be done.
and I'm going to be honest with you, the fact that Houston, that the XFL was already granted a trademark, it's going to be hard for the NFL to have anything to say. Because
Yeah,
the whole thing is there's enough difference because, Oilers. Well, that logo doesn't have a predominant H in it that you see.
Also, the color scheme is different.
The star at the top. I mean, you just had an oil, Derek. Here, they have taken that concept and expanded upon it, which makes it unique and completely different. I really think this is something we're going to find out that the trademark clerk said, nah, you're reaching.
I mean,
it's a reach. It's a reach.
We got to get Bryce on here to talk about this sometime. He's the one who's most about law here.
Yeah, they could get rid of the Seattle Dragons logo. I wouldn't mind that.
Oh, I like that. I like that one, honestly.
I would like to see.
Be,
wouldn't the Vipers logo be better, like a cobra head or something? That might be more interesting.
Here's the thing. I'm a sucker for role-playing games, and it kind of has a D&D-ish vibe, like Dungeons and Dragons-esque vibe. And, like, I'm sorry, that's a charm to it that I love. Now, DC Defenders, I feel like that was a rejected Captain America shield.
I think that's a team that could use a different name.
Yeah, they went too far with the alliteration there. I love alliteration as much as the next guy, but you're a bit too hard for it.
I think that the Renegades logo, Dallas, could be rebranded to something. I mean, I understand Dallas, but
again, they shouldn't. But if they did, we wouldn't be opposed to it from an aesthetic standpoint.
Yeah, and I also think that that's one team that could possibly be taken. I really want to see a team. Look at what the AAF did down in Birmingham, man, and how the fans came out in Birmingham.
I was going to say San Antonio. I'm sorry. Again, Louisville and Omaha are two that I'm stunned that no team has been in since the UFL had a team there and the AFA had a team in Louisville. If you know either of those leagues, congratulations. You are either old or a football nerd. Or both.
Yep. And I can guarantee you that the people are going to come out in Seattle for the Battlehawks. We are going to see people turn up in Houston. Seattle did well. Most of these teams had decent turnouts.
The worst was LA.
Yeah, and I think basically LA, what people don't realize is game time. When these games were on, it might have been a certain time here, but in LA, remember, there's a 3-hour time difference from the East and West.
Also, fun story about the Chargers. We talked about them a lot today, whether it's their overrated quarterback of the past, of Phillip Rivers, the guy let go in Drew Brees. But the Chargers started in LA and left because they realized it was oversaturated. Clearly, Dean never read up on his father's teachings. Mm-hmm. And then neither did the McMahon family.
I would move the Wildcats to?
San Jose?
No, I take them up north. The city by the bay. Oakland, San Francisco. I'm telling
that
you,
could work too.
That's a football town, and there are venues up there that would be large enough.
Because you could work a Pacific Bells where I put them. I'm sorry. As much as I love the history of Oakland Alameda, no team should be forced to play there.
I mean,
the A's have been trying to get out forever, and the Raiders were trying to get out forever.
I mean, I could see them like the Oakland Redwoods.
Yeah, something like that. Or no, call them a California team because they.
Oh, the Alcatraz.
I don't think that's a good look.
Well, it's one of the most famous things in the whole state. You can call
them think about it for 5 seconds. And
we can call them the hippies. The Oakland Pride, the San Francisco Pride.
I think that Freedom Football League probably has that trademark by now if they know how to apply them.
But that would be a great name for a team in the Bay Area, the Pride, because it represents the intonation of what San Francisco is seen as the most gay-friendly city in the country and all that. So that is something that could be the Pride. The Bayman, the San Francisco Bayman.
The Riptide?
That would be good. That would work. But what would your logo be, like a surf? We'll see. We've got time. We know that they're coming back in 2022, and that is going to be, hopefully things will be back to normal by then, or as
Or
close to normal as we can
normal.
get. Yeah, the new normal, if you will. That being said, RJ, where can people find you on social media?
So on Instagram, you can find me at RJ_Ciencio. On Twitter, you can find me at CiencioRJ. And I'm most active on Facebook, where you can find me with the name RJ Ciencio. That's CIAN as in Nancy, CIO.
And of course, we're AFN Talk. AFN Talk all over the world of social media. Yes, we do have Instagram, folks. We do have Twitter. We do have Facebook. And we have YouTube channel. If you want to go over there, you can watch these videos and listen to us be stupid or whatever. Got some other things going on. Starting in February, we will be having a live stream over on the website. We've got it up and playing, but it's just some music right now because we're tooling up with different things to go in. And
Yeah,
for you to
go read
listen
some
to live.
articles too. We talked a lot about. I had an article talking about what the XFL could do, like possibly moving a team to Orlando. Rest I won't spoil for you, but go read up on some stuff there. AFNtalk.com.
All right. This is AFN Talk, AFN Talk Live. We appreciate you being with us, and we'll be here next Thursday night to talk more football. But we'll have the Super Bowl party going on here next week. We're going to be talking Super Bowl. The playoffs will be done and over
Pro
with.
Bowl. Remember the Pro Bowl week.
Oh,
before
is that what comes before that? I always forget that game.
It's not even being played this year due to COVID. So we'll
Yes.
have the Super Bowl pre-game show for you then.
Oh, that's right. They got to extend this season all the way into mid-February now. All right, folks. You have a great night. Peace. Love.